We're joined now by the man at the center of this storm, Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter David Cay Johnston. Congratulations, you broke this on DCReport.org. So you've covered Donald Trump and his taxes for years. You open your mail, you find these pages from 2005, but do you really think he could have leaked them to you?
Yeah, Donald has a long history of leaking things about himself. Sometimes
he
things
doesn't like you, though.
No, and I think it's in the realm of possibility that he.
So no evidence.
No, it's a possibility, or someone in his direction. But the venom and the anger and the falsehoods in the White House statement suggest that no, he's probably not the source of this.
There is on that page 2 of the document that it says client copy.
Yes.
What does that tell you?
Well, that tells me that this is somebody who either worked at the accounting firm or had connections to it, or this copy was turned over to someone in a regulatory proceeding, in litigation, in a financial statement. And why not the whole return? Well, if somebody wanted to photocopy something, they're not going to take 1,000 pages to the photocopier.
Just to be clear, when this leak happened in the New York Times last summer, the envelope had the return address of Trump Tower.
Right.
Any return address on your envelope?
No. And that's the one I suspect Donald did leak those last summer or last fall, because they
didn't make him look very good.
Well, in Donald's mind, it would. He's a very unusual character as to what he thinks makes him look good.
There was a lot of speculation after that story came out last summer that he could have avoided paying any federal income taxes for up to 18 years. This clearly shows that he paid millions in taxes, also made a lot of money.
It does. It shows that he was very successful, and it also implies that he had an average income of $81.5 million in the previous 10 years, because he had bought this tax shelter when he didn't pay back over $900 million in loans to the banks. The banks wrote that off. He bought a tax shelter that let him deduct the same amount of money.
Big question now is, you just got 2 pages from 2005. Right. What doesn't this show?
Well, it doesn't tell us who Trump is beholden to. I mean, we know, for example, that he owes money to Deutsche Bank, which is deeply involved in money laundering for the Russians. He owes money to the Communist Bank in China, the Bank of China, which is also the largest tenant in Trump Tower. We have a U.S. president who's in hock to a bank in China. We don't know who he's getting his revenue from. We don't know who his partners are or who he's done business with in foreign countries, and that could have major national security implications.
We do now know that this audit excuse that the president said is no real reason not to release
absolute nonsense.
His tax return. So and now we've seen 1995 and 2005. These 2005 returns are certainly not scandalous in any way from what we know of what was released. So what is he trying to hide in your view? You've covered him for a long time.
I don't think he wants us to know all the people he's done business with, both those he's beholden to and those he receives income from. But there actually is something in here that I think is very important, George. One of the key elements of Donald Trump's tax plan is getting rid of the alternative minimum tax. You and I and everybody else who's prosperous in America is on the alternative minimum tax. If that tax hadn't existed, Donald Trump would have paid a tax rate on his $153 million lower than the average paid by the poorest half of Americans.
So you're saying, based on this 2005 tax return, the Donald Trump tax proposal now would give a big benefit to Donald Trump?
An enormous benefit to him. And if you put that across a lot of people, it would have also caused serious problems for us in doing all the things government needs to do.
Think this will spring more leaks?
I hope so.
David Cay Johnston, thanks very much.
Thank you, George.
And now the president has weighed in on Twitter. He says, does anybody really believe that a reporter who nobody ever heard of went to his mailbox and found my tax returns? At NBC News, fake news. Of course, Donald Trump has heard of David Cay Johnston, as we said. He's been covering him for an awful long time.
He knows who he is.